actually go live and you have to actually face an audience. See, then it's a totally different animal.
Yes, but they're like the face audience. We don't know who they are. They're just out there, someone.
Well,
somewhere.
everybody on the internet is a dog, right? Except for us, obviously, because
Why can't they be a cat?
Because cat. Are we really going to get into this? Look, you have an unhealthy obsession with cats. We've been meaning to talk about this.
So think that is wrong.
Says the guy who needs the intervention.
Says the guy wearing the cat shirt.
Exactly. I think maybe your opinion on this cannot be trusted, just like your judgment, not to mention your good taste. Because you have none.
You know, if we're talking about judgment and good taste, I did actually invite you to come on and be, co-host on this show.
Yeah, that was really bad judgment on your part, and you've been regretting it ever since, just like everybody else.
Oh, I have not regretted it for a single day.
Because he always has a chance to make fun of me. That's how that works. Yeah. Howdy, listeners, viewers, and whomever. And welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. Man, my brain just went to jello. I'm Paul E. Cooley. Joining me is Veronica Jagier and Terry Mixon.
Howdy, howdy, neighbors.
So what the hell? We haven't talked since last week. What have you people been up to?
Yeah, Terry, what have you been up to?
Yeah, Terry, what have you been up to?
Let's see. I am still working through this book going, what am I doing again? It's just so slow working on this because I don't feel like I've got this opening the way that I want it, and I'm still feeling my way into it. And I hate that. This has been the worst book of doing that ever.
You're trying to tell me you're wandering around trying to figure out exactly what the hell it is that your characters are trying to do?
No, I'm actually sitting there going, gosh, I don't want to write because I don't know exactly what their motivation is and what I'm having them do.
Isn't this where you usually put in a hand grenade or an explosion or a monster eating people? Oh, wait.
Well, I dropped an assassin in. Doesn't that count?
Yeah, but obviously he's not doing it for you.
I'm figuring out his motivation is what's messing me up. It's all Patrick's fault.
Patrick, damn it. If you're here, sound off. This is all your fault because Terry didn't recognize you or see you or had dinner with you, didn't even know you were there. You're just like the ultimate dead. Oh, there's Tibby. Hey, howdy. So, I think it's basically all your fault. If my camera is shaking, my apologies because I'm using my standing desk and I really need to stop leaning on it. Yeah.
You sure it's not your cat? Since you were busy slamming me for cats, I'm thinking,
He's currently hiding somewhere with Luna. I think they're watching hockey together, something along those lines.
You sure they're not conspiring against you?
They're always conspiring against me. The thing is, the only reason I'm still alive is the dog's old. Otherwise, there's no telling what they'd be getting up to. V, what have you been doing?
Everything. I'm wrapping the recording for the Paranormal Women's Fiction book, which is essentially a magical bakery, and it is so good. But the problem is I record it and I get hungry because between chocolate orange scones and fluffy biscuits and a really good cinnamon coffee cake, I'm like, I want food. And I may have bugged the author at least once, like, can you get me that recipe? So, but yeah.
He's got his hands on it right there. So what you're telling me is you need to bake before you go into the narration booth so your stomach gets nice and growly, or so you can sate yourself before you go in?
It means that I have to take breaks because I'll go, gosh, that's really good. And then I'll go, hey, you haven't eaten. Oh, I should probably go have lunch. Oh, yeah, because nobody wants that on the recording to have to try to edit out.
Your stomach grumbling?
Yes.
Yes. I was going to ask you, have you ever really listened to a take and heard your stomach just go?
I've heard that. I've had my jaw crack. And that's because that's more like surprise painful. And then you see the spike on the waveform. There's the nasal stuff where you have like that weird nose honk and you're like, why is that? Oh, that's what that was. So
whenever I edit, I go back and I find the most interesting things I didn't hear. Of course, I don't have an isolation booth like you do. So my deaf ass can't sometimes hear what the neighbor's doing. So I'll come across something and there'll be like a random voice in the background. And I'm like, okay, am I having an episode? What the fuck is going on here? And I have to basically kind of go back and go, oh, okay, that repeats. It's not just in my head. All right, got it.
Yeah. There'll be some times where there's sounds that I can hear because when I record, I'll take one side off, one side on, so I can hear the lead in when I make a mistake, when I punch in. But if somebody's at home, so if the Mighty Ginger is home working and he's having a conversation, it's not getting into the recording, but I can hear it. And there have been times where I've had to go, hi, I love you. Can you talk more quietly, please? I wasn't yelling. You were on a call. It was a little loud. Well, it's not in the recording. No, but it's in my head. Oh. So yeah, so that's always fun. Yeah.
Terry, are you having an earthquake or a cat?
I'm having a cat scratch. I'm like, why is the desk shaking?
Just check.
Veronica,
please continue. I thought maybe something was going on at Clear Lake.
So that and writing. My co-author says that we're officially 1/4 of the way through our urban fantasy craziness, which is nice because I'm just like, hey, I'm having fun. And world building for my own stuff. I was telling Terry before the show while we were all in coffee assembly mode that I think you get to a point when you're world building that you make the spreadsheet and you're doing like orbital mechanics calculations to figure out distances because you don't want that person saying, hey, you took too long to get from here to here. So, yeah. Yeah.
I had that person contact me just recently. And it's a guy that I know on Facebook that beta reads this stuff, and I think he's actually a supporter on Patreon, and I like him a lot. But he's like, 3 books in after I've been using antimatter weapons, he says, don't those produce gamma rays? Like, where were you 3 books ago? Where were you 3 books ago with gamma rays?
So yeah. So, but I'm at that point where I'm plotting stuff out and I'm doing the calculations. I'm going, I need to screw something up. I'm like, oh, this is really good. And I'm realizing that I'm committing trilogy. So some of the stuff that would be really good, I can't put out in the first book. I have to let it simmer until the second or third. But yeah.
Matt says we are officially 1/4 of the way through the first half of the chapter. That's actually going to be the introduction. Writing not going according to plan. See, that sounds like a software issue. And because you're a fellow software developer, I know that came from somewhere. That's probably written on a board.
That's a meeting item.
Well, as of today, I have written over 50,000 words on track 9 since February 1st. I haven't been sleeping, though, which is an issue. I'm getting about 6 or 7 hours of light. I got to be in some kind of strange manic episode that's not really going manic, but I'm going to ride this bitch as long as I can. Anyway.
Can you have like a pseudo, like a not quite there plateau?
I think that's where I'm at. Go study Bipolar 2. You'll love it. Anyway, so been cranking through that, and I missed people. I missed writing about people. I can't believe I'm saying that because usually I would just want things to eat them, but I've actually got people talking about people's stuff. It's amazing. I know. Horrible. Horrifying. This year's performance review. Well, Matt, glad that explains it. So now I'm at the point where I have to actually start solving the mystery, which I don't know is actually the mystery or how to solve it or who the antagonist really is, because I've set all this stuff up and now I'm fucked. So I'm pulling a Terry. I'm wandering off into the dark without a flashlight. I've got maybe a pen light with a 1/4 power and a match. And that's all I've got left to try and wander around through the dark, horrifying hallways that I've written and try and exactly figure out where the goddamn end of this book is, because it's already at 50K and I don't know yet.
It's not safe to go alone. Take this.
Yes, whenever I go to storm the dungeon, I take my emotional support cat. She clings to my armor while it's swinging at orcs. What the fuck?
I want to read that story. I so want that.
That's wrong one. that's Dean says they would have gotten away with it too if it was for those meddling writers. Yeah. Matt says, so you don't start at the solution and work your way back to the problem then? I knew I was doing something wrong. Actually, I think, except for Terry apparently, if I remember correctly, the way he writes mysteries is he doesn't know who did it. Whatever it is, he has no idea. He just
everyone's guilty until I select the actual perpetrator.
Right. So wow. Gifts from the Mighty Ginger. Ooh. I'm jealous.
Lemonade, baby.
I'm gonna have to wipe that in post. No advertisers or sponsors on this. Except for the one we use. You hide that label. So I know
now she's going to write something rude on the cup so that every time she takes a drink, it's going to be something rude.
That would be about normal for this show. So starting, I know some writers start at the end and work backwards in a mystery, at least to try and figure out who did what or have a reason to go back and do that. I don't do that either. I don't do that with any of my books. I don't really have ever started at the end. Oh, no. Dean asks if Terry is the new Hercule Poirot. Poirot?
Poirot. I can't say it either.
Poirot.
There you go.
Poirot.
Good enough.
He's Belgian. It's a problem. Anyway, so I'm at this point now where I've got all these clues set up. I've got all these other things the character has to go through. And now I have to figure out exactly who set all this up and why. I thought I thought I knew everything about 20,000 words in, then I wrote another 10 and went, fuck. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I'm new to this and I'm really hating you for it, Terry. It's a little bit different. I've never written a book quite like this one before, which has been fun. Wouldn't Terry be better as Miss Marble?
No, absolutely not. Angela Lansbury. That's who I am.
He does not have the legs for that role. Okay. I'm just telling you, you've probably never seen him all the way in person. I mean, all of him. He doesn't have the legs for that. Trust me. That's just like I can just picture you in a big flowery dress. To whom was that aimed?
Well, he was saying I was going to be Ms. Marple, so I'm assuming it was aimed at me.
I have to ask these questions because I never know where things are aimed at this point anymore. Yeah, Angela Lansbury, A Murder, She Wrote. Exactly. That's what Terry, you need big blue hair. Veronica, we need to get him like a big Texan blue hairdo, you know? You know what I'm talking about?
You want me to look like Marge Simpson? That's what you're saying.
Not quite that high. More like Texas high. Has like plenty of bounce to it and everything else. Like Farrah Fawcett, blue-haired.
So, like Peggy from King of the Hill, but blue?
Yes, but blue. Bluer. Old lady hair. Now pictured all three dead robots in the same big flowered dress. Wow, that's some brain damage, bro.
Nope, floral is not part of my contract. Hell no.
Wait a minute. You haven't signed your contract because I haven't written one.
Wait, we have contracts?
That's what I was surprised at. Exactly. She mentioned contracts, and now I'm like, what the hell is she? Were we supposed to have contracts?
I blame the cat.
Okay, I'll blame the cat.
I inherited this show like I became the student body president at Texas State Technical College. I went to a student body meeting to complain about something. They talked me into being their secretary since the secretary had just graduated. And the next semester, everyone else graduated and left. And I was holding the bag. So for half a year, I was the unelected student body president.
Having just watched a movie called Bodies, 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 that is just kind of frightening. I love V's response to that.
So, Paul, I had a meeting of the weird kind. Do you remember Dean Cole?
Barely.
Probably saw him at Vegas. He lives down near me.
Okay.
You may or may not have seen him there, but I was talking with him and some other folks while we were there. 2 years in a row, I've run into him. I think he writes thrillers. And we had talked about doing lunch. And Thursday, I was finishing up my physical therapy and came out, and he was there in the same building doing physical therapy. So what are the odds of that?
The world just keeps getting smaller and
It
smaller
does.
and smaller.
Yep.
And I wish it would quit. It's getting to that point where I'm just.
You know
really
how much
starting to-
smaller than that it is, though? I went and looked at his profile, and he's a retired airline pilot and Apache helicopter pilot. And I was a helicopter crew chief in the Army.
Right.
So I flew the other half of the hunter killer. I worked on the other half of the hunter killer teams. So we were in Army Aviation in the same rough unit as well. Not the same one, but the same style of unit.
I'm not
So,
sure you two are allowed
very
to be near
strange.
one another. I think very bad things are going to happen if you every time you guys get near one another. Some kind
We're
of
going to find out. He and I are going to go to lunch with the wives on Wednesday.
Okay, so if you hear about a big explosion in Texas, you'll know exactly what the fuck it was. Got
No,
it.
we won't. It's Texas.
It'll just be another refinery. Nobody will pay any
It'll just be
attention.
another
It'll be another
refinery.
David ends in Y. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, pretty much. If you,
No, that reminds me, Terry. I'll have to. I have story questions to ask you. I've got a detail that I need to clarify because
Okay.
it
Wow.
deals with Army aviation and stuff.
I may know the answer.
You might.
and if he doesn't, he probably knows somebody who does.
Yes, I just all of the former students that I could ask, they went Air Force, and so
It happens.
I.
Some people love their cable.
More than one.
He's one of my favorite students did. Like, you're not supposed to have your favorites. I have my favorites, and my favorites are like one's she's still doing her PhD in biomedical technologies, and one's a meteorologist, and one flies for the Air Force and gives me great restaurant recommendations for Vegas. So,
Oh, thank you, Antonio. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed them. What are the odds of that? Was that rhetorical, or you don't want to do the math? We don't want to do the math on this. No,
No.
we really don't. You should not say that either. Okay. Strange shit happens around where he lives, in that general area. It's just a bizarre place. I'd stay away from it. So, Southeast, that's just not bad. Not good at all. When southeast of me, that's a real problem. So
You can't
everybody
see
is
us for all the
working-
trees you've got anyway, so I don't know why you're complaining.
because it's really hard to find me with the drones if they can't see me. I like this idea. Of course, it pisses off Amazon, but I don't know why they think Amazon delivery drones are going to work here in Texas when that's basically asking everybody to say skeet, to say shoot. It's just asking for a lot of damaged property. Of course, they're going to get great cam views of the people. So is it going to be like the people of the Amazon drones? It'll be like people at Walmart. You'll get these shots of guys out there with their people in general out there with their shotguns showing off their newest AR or whatever the hell it is, rattling off. So we get these pictures of people in various states of undress, and various states of physical characteristics as they blast the shit out of Amazon drones. Is that really? We need to start this fucking channel, Terry.
That
Oh
would-
no!
that would
Oh
be-
no, we do not.
No. We're not doing it. We're just grabbing all the videos, and we'll just make like a. 20
I can
minute
imagine
fucking
right
video.
now what it might look like, and I don't intend to put myself through that. So thank you very much.
Jesus.
What it was that the Bilbo Baggins said? Thank you. We'll have none of that here. Good day. Good day. I can't remember the exact quote.
Yeah, Dean, you're right. I don't mean shoot. I mean pull. Yeah, pull. That's what. So you can tell how many times I've done skeet. Isn't Vegas near to the drone pilots? Yes, I believe they have one of their setups there.
I think they do actually.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, you totally screwed up my. Actually, I did that, didn't I? I did that. Delivery drones. Are you for or against delivery drones?
I'm agnostic on delivery drones. I just think that they're going to go go wonkers. Now, what I am against is the idea of Amazon, unlocking your front door and bringing something into your house.
Walmart does
I am
that.
against.
That's like a Walmart service, and I'm like, no, I don't want to answer my door anyway.
Back in the old days, we called that breaking and entering. What is this shit?
I don't need somebody else looking in my fridge and the mess and disorganization in there. I will get to it on my own time.
That will be some funny shit if we put those together. I would love to do that. That would be so much fun.
Get the music soundtrack behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the game highlight reels. Instead, you just basically do videos that are captured and put up there and just make the whole deal for it and put some captions on there and let it rip.
Drones gone wild.
Yeah, it's lazy, but it works. I'm sure we could come up with something a lot better. Where'd it go? There it is. William says he's for delivery catapults.
My cats disapprove on general principles.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, pun notwithstanding, and it was horrible, and you should stop that now. I think catapults have a little bit of an issue, especially with delicate items like eggs. I'm thinking that maybe that's not going to go the way you think.
Have you met any of the Amazon delivery drivers?
We said drones. I have not met any of the.
The eggs are not going to be any better if they're delivered by a human being.
You're probably right.
And besides, the box will be like enormous and they'll be rattling around.
It'll be like one egg in a box this big.
Exactly.
I can't remember what I ordered from them. I ordered something. Ordered a couple of things from gift cards I got, and they all came in separate packages, as separate boxes with separate deliveries, and each of them had a box that was 7 times what needed. I just, I'd be more than happy to come to the store location to pick that shit up and be a nice save on resources if you had one. It's obnoxious. Oh, this is interesting. Matt says he's seen some food shows on YouTube and they were reviewing the different state fairs, and Texas seems to come out on top. That doesn't really surprise me.
It's been a very long time since I've been to a state fair, so I don't know. I think the last time I went to a state fair was when I was still in high school. So maybe. Now I'm curious. Now I want to find out.
It's very interesting.
I know that David Grundy moved from San Antonio to Houston, and he's now working with the rodeo. So I know that they have lots of food stuff there.
Oh, fuck, the rodeo. Yeah. As somebody who develops software for something for the radio or for the rodeo, God, I'm having problems today. Rodeo. Yeah, and has been there a couple times. It is an experience. I would never pay the money to go deal with that bullshit. I will take the free tickets, fine, but there's just no reason to go there.
Really?
No.
You had to use that choice of word.
Yeah, I had to. So
I missed it. What word did he use?
Bullshit. He doesn't want to go to the rodeo and deal with that bullshit.
Oh God,
that's awesome! Wow. I didn't even catch that. That's good. I didn't catch that.
You can tell which one of us is a Yankee. You can tell which one of us been a Yankee, never been
sure
around.
That she's
bullshit.
A Yankee. I don't know that you should be insulting people like that.
Oh,
I'm
damn. Look, if it's north of Conroe, it's a damn Yankee.
That's my opinion.
Guilty. I mean, I live
and east of 45.
Ignore him. He doesn't know anything.
Between growing up in Kentucky but both parents being from, mom from Jersey and dad from Chicago, so
Yankee.
Yes.
Yankee.
Yeah. Unhealthy Yankee influences.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But I still know that sugar doesn't belong in biscuits, so.
Yeah.
And I know that if you're going to make proper sweet tea, you make a sugar syrup and dissolve it. You don't just dump sugar in and stir.
All right. Well, that's all fine and good, but that doesn't differentiate you as a Yankee or a Southerner. The real question is beans and chili, yes or no?
What types of beans?
What type of chili?
Yeah.
You guys, come on.
Well, there's green, there's red, there's.
I'm about to evict Paul from being a Texan.
Matt says, rodeo, we have something similar in Wales. We call it cow tipping. They sleep stood up, and they wake up mean. Tim's like, wow, we have cow tipping here too. I have several friends.
We do videos of people doing cow tipping. That's much more entertaining than Amazon drones.
I have several friends who would go like at a 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. into a cow pasture and pick psilocybin mushrooms out of a cow shit.
I hope they wash it really well.
I have no idea. I did not do it, so I have no clue.
My father was a cattle rancher, so I grew up around cattle. Allow me to assure you that you want to make sure and wear something that you can wash off really well.
I buy that. I buy that completely. I think that's entirely possible, probable. Yes.
Oh, speaking of mushrooms.
Uh-oh.
So not sure how many people are watching The Last of Us with all of that good stuff. I am...
Tim says cow versus drones, the new summer blockbuster. To go along with Cocaine Bear.
Well, sure.
So watching it, and of course, the fellow nerds in the group are noting what types of fungus are part of the outbreak in The Last of Us.
Right.
And so I'm looking at it, talking to someone else here, and I overheard them saying, oh yeah, there's this new like coffee alternative blend that deals with mushrooms, and it's supposed to be better for you and all this and that. And they're trying to say, oh yes, you drink coffee. I'm like, yes, I drink coffee. And let's not mess with a good thing, okay? Oh, but it gives you all this energy. I'm like, I don't. Yeah. So, but one of the different mushrooms that is in that particular blend.
Anamarita.
No, the same one that's in The Last of Us.
Cordyceps.
Yes, the exact same one. And I'm like, oh hell no, there is no way. Like, I have seen the movie. I'm planning on surviving the zombie apocalypse.
Once you boil them, I think your worries are over. I think that probably takes care of it.
Well, if you get infected, your worries are over there too. But that's completely different.
But before I boil it, that stuff's in my house. No, I don't need pre-zombie powder sitting with my morning, breakfast. What happens if I misprepare it? Then, then I'm like patient zero. Why would I do that?
It's like eating the poison fish in Japan. It's the delicacy that if you misprepare it, people die.
Fugu. Fugu.
Yep. Yeah. There's some forms of Darwinian roulette I do not want to play.
But that means there are some forms of Darwinian roulette that you do want to play.
Well, I live in Florida.
Well, that is true.
And I drive on 95. So, yeah.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
I came across in the CBD store.
I was about to say, do we have a topic?
No,
I was going to say, we should talk about something about writing related. We're at halfway mark here. Should we talk writing?
One more thing, and then we'll get to it. I went into my CBD store, and they had something called, I'm not going to mention the brand, but it was in bright packaging. It basically was like, this has the same components as psilocybin. And I went, what the fuck? So, you know how in Mario, you've got those mushrooms? That's actually a species of mushroom that's related to the psilocybins called Amarita, something like that. Evidently, used in conjunction with 2 other mushroom strains, it won't make you hallucinate, but will give you the body high of a full-blown mushroom trip. And it's legal. And I went, you got to be shitting me.
There's a difference between not yet being regulated and being legal.
And then I talked to the proprietor. It was really funny. Apparently, there are some unknown side effects that they don't talk about, which are if you drink a carbonated drink within like 30 or 40 minutes of taking this stuff, you will get horribly sick. And some other things. I went, oh, that's really interesting. Anyway.
Nope.
The only writing thing I saw of note this week was the strike was coming to an end, or it looked like the strike was coming to an end for Harper Collins.
Yep.
That was the only thing of writing note I saw this week. And I went looking.
There have been raises given for entry level at a couple of places.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The union is finally in there. So we'll see what all that looks like when it shakes out. I doubt it's going to affect anything, really. I seriously doubt it's going to make anything better for anybody.
I could always throw some more D&D stuff at you.
Oh, no.
Because Wizards of the Coast can't keep their mouth shut.
What's the latest?
Ooh. Which one did you see, Terry?
Kyle Brink, the customer service VP, or not customer service, product. He's one of the VPs, the ones that did the official apology. Not the CEO, the one that they tagged to be the sacrificial lamb to give the apology. He was on a podcast, and he was talking about something that I think is worthwhile in the game industry. He was saying that there needs to be more diversity. They need to bring in voices that are different than what was there before. But rather than say it that way, he says, guys like me can't leave the hobby fast enough, is what he basically said. I'm like, so you're saying white guys get out. That's not very inclusive. You should bring people in rather than shove people out the door. And there's been lots of online backlash about that.
Of course.
I applaud the sentiments. I deplore the way in which it was phrased.
Yeah, I think there's a much better way to phrase that, because it's not.
Dean says, "Oh, that dumpster fire."
It's. I think it's two things. It's yes, you need to bring people in and be inclusive, and at the same time, you need to help those who are already there, who want to be part of a change. You know, how do you work to make the environment that you're in and your actions and behaviors more inclusive?
One of the things that he sorry, didn't realize.
It's just from the way he said it was like, yeah, you don't know your audience, do you? Because that's just that's just inviting a bunch of people who are already defensive about opening up the playground to be even more angry.
As a longtime gamer, I've not been a game designer, but I've been a gamer and part of gaming groups for in excess of 40 years now. Even in the very beginning, while the way that they put it, the stereotype is that it's nerdy, skinny white guys in their basement playing. That's always been the way that it's phrased. And there may be some legitimacy to that, but they are the most inclusive group of people you'd ever meet. Anyone, whatever their race or skin color or sex, comes and says, hey, I'd like to learn to play. They're like, come to me and let's roll a character right now. They're so happy to be included with anyone. And this is a very welcoming hobby.
For the most part.
There are bad seeds anywhere you go.
Of course.
For the most part, it's a very welcoming hobby.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a difference between the hobby. So there's people who are running their own campaigns and bringing more people into the fold. The nice thing about when you're creating a character that you want to play, you have the opportunity, for the most part, to create a character that resembles I'm sorry, words. You can see some of who you are in there. You get more representation. So when you're starting at that base level and the player is creating the character, then they have control over that representation. And once you get further up and people are designing video games and or writing books or whatever, because your consumer base is diversifying, people want to see themselves in those stories. And so that's like, and yes, Matt, fantasy football is basically, it's sports D&D. It's all numbers.
That is a very, very good point. It is role playing.
It is. And I mean, so it's, I think I think some of the backlash might be, the people who are in charge are being asked to create characters that may not reflect them, but may reflect someone who's coming in. And I mean, I've dealt with gatekeeping for tabletop games. When I was in high school, oh yeah, you can't come play. Well, why not? Well, I've been the only girl.
You're a girl.
And nobody, and it was like, well, we don't want to take the time to teach. I'm like, but I want to play Star Wars.
Maybe part of the issue is that I learned to role play as a teenager, but the time where I did the most role playing was when I was in the Army, and we went to the rec center every Friday night and all day Saturday and most of the day Sunday. And it was one big room that was a huge free-for-all of whoever showed up. It didn't matter who they were. Mm-hmm. We would find a seat at a table and we would go to town.
Yep. And that's like, I mean, that's the ideal setup where, you have everybody's welcoming and everyone who's there, you guys all have a common backstory. So there aren't a lot of barriers that someone new coming in, they're new coming in, but they know what you're going through. They have the same, outside of the game complaints and whatnot. If you don't have that same shared, just coming off the street and going to your local shop and trying to join a game, it's a little
buy that.
harder.
I never had to go through that. Because when I left the service, I mostly stopped face-to-face gaming at that point. Just didn't have time, didn't have the energy to go find a new group. However, here in Houston, when I did find a group, the main players there was a man and a woman that was the game master, and his wife and some other folks that we played with. They were Muslim, and it was always interesting to go game and have the break for prayer.
Oh yeah.
So it's nothing wrong with it. It's,
no.
It is. I guess maybe I just grew up in a gaming world where there were no barriers. At least I didn't see them because I was in the environment that didn't have them. Not that way.
Yeah,
but it's a good segue to talk about writing, because some of the same complaints about the gaming industry have been mentioned about the writing and publishing industry as well.
Yes.
Okay. Shoot.
There have been lots of complaints that there's not enough diverse voices in both authorial voices and in publishing and in the hierarchy of publishing. And I'm not sure if you look at indie, there's no barrier. If you want to write, whoever you are, if you want to write, it happens. You are the one that makes it happen.
Yep.
Traditional publishing, they're gatekeepers, and I am not really familiar with the process other than it's very restrictive. I can see there being bias there. I can guess that it really is there. And that's the same sort of thing that they were talking about with gamers. And I guess it was video games, was the Gamergate thing. I don't really, I'm not a video gamer, so that kind of was off to the side, but I imagine it's the same sort of thing as well.
Yeah, it turned into shitbaggery. Just absolute shitbaggery and troll fest. Doxing people, swatting them, the whole 9 yards. Real classic group of people out there. Anyway, if I write, and I get tired of writing white guys. That's why I write a lot of women characters. I get tired of writing me, or people I know that are men. I like diving into different, just a different sex and trying to look at things from a different point of view. And I'll also do that by making a main character not white, not Christian, not whatever. It's not me, because I want to talk about the things that character would experience. I want to think about those things. The trick is, if I do that, I need to, for my peace of mind, somebody who can read it, who potentially could be offended by some of what I say, or point out something I've said that is colorblind and not intentional, just didn't read right. It's nice to have those kinds of things to give you a little bit more comfort zone about doing what you do. Because my fear has always been that at some point, and of course, I'm sure it's happened already, um, but I don't want to write something that is so wrong that it is absolutely offensive when it's not meant to be offensive. If I mean to offend you, fuck, I'm going to offend you. If I don't mean to offend you, that's a problem. That means I've missed the mark somewhere, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Me as a writer.
I am always nervous about writing characters that are not like myself. I don't mind writing female characters, but I get nervous if I'm going to write somebody of another ethnicity, because you can get jumped pretty hard for appropriation. And I don't necessarily want to be on the receiving end of trying to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. It's not that I prefer writing about white people. It's that I prefer writing about people. And who wants to step on a landmine you never even saw coming? So it makes you cautious.
I was at a seminar. This wasn't really a seminar; it was a reading and Q&A afterwards. And I can't, for the life of me, remember the author's name. It was a Black author who won a book award, I think, that year or whatever. But he was talking about race and writing race, and from his point of view, this is what he said. I'm summarizing, obviously, I don't remember exactly. His thinking was that if writers don't stretch to write about people and go into those unsafe places, we will never understand one another. Because part of what we do when we put ourselves or start writing that character is we are actually putting ourselves in that person's shoes. The fact that we might be wrong about how those shoes fit, what they look like, and if somebody's wearing them properly, that's a completely different conversation, which is where I hate the term, but sensitivity readers might be a good thing. I call them sanity readers. It's a sanity check, right? Well, just like with code. But I think if you stray away from doing that, I think you're actually doing yourself a big disservice. A lot of what I know about other cultures and my excitement for that was driven by the fact that I wanted to write a story back there and spent the time going through and figuring it out. That broadened my knowledge. Just doing that. Wanting to write about something that's out of my comfort zone, trying to rely on historical accounts and going, well, fuck it, this detail doesn't fit. Is it apocryphal? Can we get away with this? Screw it, it's my story, go on. And there are going to be some people who are going to be mad about what they consider historical inaccuracies, but those historical inaccuracies make the story work. Is it appropriation? Is it somehow, goddamn, what's the name of the story? Scrolls. Am I appropriating something from Greece? Am I appropriating something from the Romans, the Egyptians, the Jews? Who am I appropriating from? I'm just writing a goddamn story, man. And I want to pay homage to the cultures that are involved in that story. If that makes me somehow, grabbing something from somewhere else, then I guess I'm doing it wrong, don't understand, and I guess I'll just be wrong.
When I was writing Erotica, I wrote a story that was published in an anthology that was put up for an award. And I know that I wrote it under a pen name, but at least one person that I know that is a lesbian was a little critical of my portrayal. And I don't know that it's not something that I'm not a lesbian. What do I know? I wrote this well enough to get into the anthology, but there is maybe it felt a bit intrusive for a heterosexual guy to write a story about a lesbian.
I've gotten spanked for it before.
That's a totally different kink.
Okay. I was being metaphorical. V, please save us.
She was about to say it herself. Just admit it.
I totally was. I don't know. I agree. I like writing people, and I like the challenge of writing new situations and things that are not part of my everyday. And I think that if you're going to have, beta readers who are going to help correct your science and your engineering and, the mechanics of something, then why is it such a stretch to make sure that you're getting the nuances of a culture,
As much
properly?
as is necessary for the story.
Yeah. And I think one of the first things that as a writer you have to do is you need to read stories or listen to stories that are that have the kinds of characters that you want to write about, so that not only do you get that that exposure and you kind of you hear the story being told, but you also get the nuances of how to discuss certain things. Um, oh, there are a couple blog posts, and I'll find them later, and I'll throw them into the DRS podcast. But there's there are really good guidelines about how do you describe skin tone,
Yeah.
and
I remember that.
or how do you describe hair color or hair texture. And there's certain certain terms are better than others. Certain terms are more descriptive than others. One of the top guidelines or rules is don't describe you don't use words that you would use to describe food as how to no, I'm serious, how to describe
everybody's
someone.
mocha. What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. Mocha, chocolate,
Oh,
rocky road. I don't
oh
know.
God.
But you don't do that.
That sent me to a scary place. Don't ever do that again.
Cookies and cream, baby. Cookies and
That's
cream.
not getting better.
So,
I'm waiting for the Neapolitan personally.
But
I've managed to avoid using food references for skin color.
but if you think about it, if there's and for those of us who before we go on camera have to go find the makeup and put things on, so
That's right. It takes me a long time to get prepared.
Obviously,
I need
more time.
there your complexions have undertones, and is it a warm color, is it a cool color? Same with hair, is it a warm, neutral, cool? So if a little bit with that is do some research how to describe and it's not just when I'm cutting off sentences. When you learn how to use better terms to describe those aspects, you're going to have a whole nother,
tool in the tool shed.
Yes, thank you. So it's going to enhance your writing, and it's going to enhance, the voice you can use. I mean, there are a couple wonderful, wonderful books that, delve into that. And it's just listening that's like, oh, that's the right term. So, and when you get that terminology, it's like, oh, that's what that means. I can see that. Oh, that's
I just
really
put
neat.
Pantone colors in my books. I just list the actual, the Pantone shades, so you can go look it up in the book.
Oh,
hey, they pulled that rights to use that back. You are now in violation.
You're going to have to go back to hex codes.
I can get a Pantone with a hex. It's not a problem.
Adobe actually had to take Pantone colors out of their palette because of that.
If I just use the numbers and not the color, I just give you the numbers. No harm, no foul.
But yeah, I think if you're going to, the first step to expand that and to write beyond just what you see in the mirror or what's around you is read it.
Mm-hmm.
And read it or listen to or watch it. And I think like your BBC dramas do a much better job of having a more realistic, they're not all pretty.
They do.
A more realistic, diverse cast. And so, go to your favorite streaming service and find something weird and esoteric and watch that.
Since you've read so many of my books, actually read them for narration.
Yes.
You know that I am not huge into descriptive text of the characters themselves.
No, you're not. And
I
it is
am-
sometimes frustrating.
I am not very descriptive, and so I don't get into, really deep shades of this is a different kind of blonde than this other kind of blonde.
Oh,
This is a different kind of dark skin than this other type of dark skin. I agree, not very helpful when it comes to describing characters.
I know Kelsey is blonde. I'm trying to think.
And
What's
short.
Please. Yeah, blonde and short. So either she's like, are we talking like Kristen Chenoweth, little blonde and short, or Dove Cameron, little blonde and short? They're two.
Bernadette Peters. Bernadette Peters. She looked like Bernadette Peters.
Bernadette Peters has red hair.
But she was
Yeah.
blonde.
Elise, I think, has brown hair, but I would actually have to look and find out.
Yeah, and
I don't have it written down. That's one of my problems.
course
I
you
have
do.
this stuff not written down anywhere.
which is so frustrating because when I'm dealing with like a big cast of characters, one of the first things I do is I try to figure out who that person looks like or resembles or what they sound like. And yes, William, a resource online that goes into stuff. I will find that. I have it bookmarked somewhere, but I will find it. And
I've seen one like that. I have one bookmarked that talks about that very thing. It may even be the same article. You can see how well I've done at using it.
Tinkerbell Little, blonde and short. Not quite Tinkerbell Little.
Tinkerbell Marines.
More like 5 feet. I think she's just above.
I love that.
Tinkerbell Marine.
Fairy Marines running
Never knew
around.
what
I
hit
love
him.
this idea. I absolutely love this.
Oh no.
Oh, you got to do it.
I can see the gears turning.
Well, if I was still writing my lit RPG, I would totally make that happen.
To see a wave of like tiny Marines running out there with their battle gear and everything else, the little fairy wings fly. Look like fucking hummingbirds.
A stream of fairy dust behind them.
They're like, oh, that's not going to hurt us. Some guy being thrown around like that.
Release the swarm.
There we go. Here's one from Matt.
I have an image of Tinkerbell in combat boots. Yes. Oh, Terry.
Oh my gosh. And then the medic tone, they bring them back. Quick. Get the
Tinkerbell Goody.
clap if you believe in fairies.
I don't think I can do Goody's voice high. No, I can't do that. Sounds more like Marge Simpson. That would be a bad idea.
How much?
Okay, now you're going to like orc or like goblin territory.
I'm not really sure what that was, so I'm kind of afraid to ask, really. Well, we've been babbling for like 53 minutes. Do y'all have any questions for us, boneheads and Veronica?
Wow.
Well, somebody has to be responsible. We figured this out. Now, we know you're not, but we like to say you are. That way it takes the heat off of us, see? No?
I don't want to be responsible.
I don't either, but Terry doesn't give me a choice.
She's not part of the problem. She's the entire problem.
No, she's not, because you're also on this podcast. Weren't you on a podcast recently, V?
Was I?
You had an interview, right? Saw it on LinkedIn or something. You were part of an interview.
Oh, it was a while ago. I was interviewed.
I just saw the post then.
Yeah, it's okay. I was interviewed by one of the authors I worked with. We did 3 books that were romantic suspense.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were all holiday based. So the first one was a Christmas one, the second one was a Valentine's Day one, and then the third is a St. Patrick's one. But yeah, that was a while ago.
A St. Patrick's Day romance.
I
How
had
does that work?
They're magically delicious.
I'm letting that one go because wow.
Essentially, I had to learn an Ulster accent. So a northern Irish accent.
Yes.
And while my ear can definitely tell the difference between Northern and Southern Ireland and like some of the other little nuances, I had to make a really, really concentrated effort not to go all dairy girls.
Oh boy.
Which I found out is kind of like it's almost like I don't want to say it's like a country accent, but it's very
Rural.
it's trilly.
Okay.
So there's definitely a more relaxed twang in certain words. But that's a great series. Oh, I love that series
Dairy
so hard.
girls.
But yeah, so learning how to do those accents because trying to sound authentic and not caricatured, which is kind of how you want to write.
Yes, and it's also
you want to represent things and suggest them, not caricature.
no, that would be that would be what I'm always worried about because I don't study accents nearly the way you do. I just half-ass it because that's all I can do.
Nope. I try to find something that has that accent, and I will listen and watch. This current book, there's one character that is a New English. Oh my gosh, New England accent.
New English?
New English. It's. I haven't had enough coffee today. Well. They can sound like Muppets, but the
Oh my god! I totally want to see you narrate a book where you replace all the characters with Muppets. That would totally be awesome.
You never listened to the entire street, did you? Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I didn't listen to the audio version of it. I have the files somewhere around here.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
You'll get mugged.
Yeah,
Paul still has them around somewhere.
Shh, I don't have any copies of that book. I have none.
None.
You should move your camera a little to the side then.
No. We're not going to talk about the one on my shelf. Or we're not.
Anyway, so I have to learn a Boston accent, and it can't be a hard Boston accent, a hard Boston accent. But I realized that the best, everyone has like their little bits. There's an SNL skit, a recent one with Casey Affleck, and they go to Dunkin' Donuts, and he's got like the thickest, most obnoxious Boston accent, and it's perfect. And all I have to do is watch that, and then my ear tunes, and then I can read stuff and go straight into it.
Yeah, listen to Black Mass and the Town. Those are also really good for the Boston.
But I can't watch the whole thing. That's the problem.
Yeah,
it has to be that tiny little bit. And there's another really good like 8-minute like how to speak with a Boston accent done by a vocal coach because her husband is from Boston. And the whole thing, he's sitting there at Brady, Jersey, and going through various phrases about lobster rolls and Havadiad and Pockin. It's like, well then.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could go sit and watch Good Will Hunting, but I can't sit and watch and cry the entire time. So.
No, that would probably be bad. A treat to Paul and offer to Terry. No. I don't need your treats.
A treat or a threat? A threat.
A threat to
Paul.
That's
what he's following up. So you interpret it how you
gotcha. Will. I don't have my glasses on, so I saw treat. Go figure. Well, we have wasted like 59 minutes of everybody's freaking time. Everybody's time. My time, your time, Mr. Hand's time, Veronica's time. Did anybody
you even know who Mr. Hand is?
I do. Hey, David. Could you just watch the Smart Park commercials?
Those were also really good. Smart Park.
I haven't seen those. I guess because I don't watch TV. Well, if you have a comment, question about this show, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSC.social. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast. to see our ugly mugs and Veronica and way too damn many cats. We'd like to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. And you can also find us on Facebook at the Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles all the madness. If you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, as well as buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for a little money, little amount of money a month, you get access to the exclusive live shows, which are about to take place in about
which will
5 to
take
6
place
minutes.
in 10 minutes from now.
It's with DRS After Dark, when we let our hair down. We get a little freaky. I might even read from the street. It could happen. I know. It's dangerous. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. Our $10 patrons are Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And also so we can upgrade StreamYard so everybody can have a proper login on this show. And there's one more thing we got to do, which is admit we have a problem that should require a 12-step program, but you will never get any of us inside. Our problem is caffeine, and our primary dealer is Corpse Coffee. Visit corpsecoffee.com, check out their array of coffees, boutique teas, and their wonderfully weird webcomic, and tell them DRS or shadowpublications.com sent you. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. With that, we are freaking out of here, except for you Patreon and BMAC folk, because DRS After Dark coming at you in approximately 8.5 minutes. Stay tuned. With that, we are out of here. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.